Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Here we go again. What's up, everyone? It's time for some more Pokemon Stadium. Can't wait to lose my mind. Oh boy, hopefully this time we'll have an easier time dealing with Pokemon Stadium because man, last time I absolutely lost it. It was pretty bad. In my defense, I didn't make the bingo board. Shoot. I said I was gonna make a bingo board to deal with all of the savageness that's gonna happen as we play through round 2 of Pokemon Stadium. Oh boy, I'm not looking forward to it, not one bit whatsoever. Oh, let's go ahead and get this show on the road, I guess. Plug something here. Probably a me thing. What's this thing? Is this here? Yep, I have it. Wrong spot. Here. Oh my god, I'm going deaf. That is so loud for me. Alrighty. Game pack was not saved at a Pokemon Center. Oh, right. I'm in the process of trying to get a good Aerodactyl. So I was resetting. Been doing a couple things. Give you an idea. This is what our Pokedex is looking like so far, guys. 137 different entries of 142 seen. I did some trading, I did some stone evolutions, as you can see. We're pretty good up until we get here to 80 for Slowbro. That's where the first break in the chain is, at 80. And then from there it's I'm missing like Mr. Mime and things like that. After 80, though, as you can see, we have a pretty healthy amount. I don't know, I think 108 is Lickitung, I think. Still need to get a good Goldeen or Seeking. Mr. Mime, like I mentioned. I don't know who these two are, but like I said, we're going to be resetting on my own time. I'm not going to force you guys to watch through that. Oh boy, I can already feel my stomach turning. I did make some extra pokes, though, to be able to help with the scenario. Okay, like now we got a Voltorb that we can use. Specialist 47, Pikachu Specialist 47. Its speed is 69, Pikachu's speed is 67. Has better defense. Pikachu has the better attack stat, ironically. Good for submission. I guess we'll try out the same team. There's a minor change here, though. You can see that Charmander now has Dragon Rage. Went ahead and got the TM for that and taught it to him. Everyone else is pretty much the same. If Charmander doesn't end up working out, we've got a Vulpix, what's it called? If Squirtle doesn't cut it, got a Shelter that I can try out with Clamp, Surf, and Ice Beam. An Abra. I should have made another Pokemon to help out with this. Just throwing my Voltorb in there, I guess. Oops, no, we definitely want Abra. I guess I'll have to use a rental as my last slot. Geodude can make it in. I knew that there were a couple more Pokemon that I wanted to work on, but slipped my mind entirely. Guess I'll go with Diglett for now. Time to lose my mind. We've got Charmander, an easy pick here, at least 4 of them.
Let's get underway with Pokemon Tournament Petit Cup, the tournament for unevolved Pokemon. Let's see how much fight the cutest Pokemon can put up. The commands are issued. Whoa!
Oh, of course it misses. Right out the gate.
Major damage! What a furious battle!
Already off to a great start, or attacks are just gonna go ahead and miss.
Ah! Super effective.
It wasn't enough to kill him. He lived by a sliver. That's another,
What now?
Oh my god, Charmander goes down. We're starting over.
Oh! Is it down and out?
Already off to a bad start. Not being able to get a perfect on the first one. Are you kidding me?
Oh, it's Abra! It has to make up for lost ground. It's 2 Pokemon against 3 now.
Off to a fantastic start. Already right on the first turn. Fire Blast misses. And then it doesn't kill them. Right. It'll leave them burnt. Which is great. Glad that it left him burnt. I should go with the Geodude instead. Got self-destruct, he could just explode. Worst case scenario, right? We're off to such a terrible start. Fire Blast miss. I got KO'd by the Execute.
Let's get underway with Pokemon Tournament Petit Cup, the tournament for unevolved Pokemon. Let's see how much fight the cutest Pokemon can put up. Fire Blast! Whoa! Looks like a bad
There's no way that
Pokemon
Caterpie is
showing.
living.
That was quick! Down already! There's been major action already! Oh, it's Magikarp! How will the type difference affect that?
He is faster?
What's that? Yeah!
A Magikarp is faster than a Charmander?
Savage attack! A savage hit! Neither one is conceding an inch. Now,
I cannot believe that a Magikarp is faster than a Charmander.
what's this? Oops, that's a miss. What'll it do? Boom!
It was not enough to take it out, of course not.
One still raring to go, but the opponent appears beat.
Should have just used the second Dragon Rage.
What now? There, it's a
I
hit.
think Dragon Rage will be a pretty good 2-hit KO'er in most cases.
Body slam. That's a good hit. Wow! Go
Part of the reason I
down.
decided to teach it to the Charmander.
There's a difference in the number of reserve Pokemon. Oh, it's on! The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided. How's that?
Of course it
that
missed. And I get paralyzed.
A stump for
I'm with it. Yup, there we go. Got the I got the paralysis off.
The intense battle continues.
Off to a great start. Oh, it's gonna use Solar Beam, huh?
There it goes. Super effective.
Not enough to take you out, though.
The crowd's excitement is building over this hot battle. They go into battle poses.
Will I survive a Solar Beam? It should be not very effective.
Not very effective.
And I'm paralyzed.
Paralyzed on the spot. Fireworks
Oh
are flying in this battle.
boy.
What's this? Watch the weak
And it was a crit. And I'm almost dead.
Dragon Ray. Good hit. Oh, it's down. And there goes the battle.
We just barely got a perfect. Hello, Perfect Pepper. Good to see you. Here we go again. Hanging in there, hoping tonight will be a better run of round 2's Pokemon Stadium Petit Cup.
What'll it lead with? Nature Death.
All right, enough to take you out. I'll take it. This time Abro's level 30.
Oh, it's Bulbasaur! The Pokemon are entirely
I
different
do not
types.
believe that Bulbasaur will go down in one hit with Psychic.
There's the attack.
Oh, but it's a crit, so I might stand corrected.
Gone!
It's a one-hit wonder.
There's a distinct difference in the number of remaining Pokemon.
Edie,
Oh, it's Weedle!
you're a poison type, so this is not gonna be fun for
The
you.
battle has become one-sided. Ah! Devastating!
Also hoping that won't have any equipment failure tonight, like I did last Sunday. Still trying out the same switcher, but I changed up something in my setup in hopes that I won't have any issues. Play tested it for like 6-7 hours. It doing soft resets in Pokemon Yellow for a good Aerodactyl. Sailor with like 3 water Pokemon. He's got 2 that are gonna be weak to Psychic attacks. We got 1, 2, 3 potentially weak to potentially weak to electricity. Maybe Pikachu, Bulbasaur, and Abra.
The upcoming battles look promising. We're into round 3.
Oh, very nice. Went ahead and sent out a Shelter.
Right, Thunderbolt. No, this Pokemon looks wrong.
Nice-oo.
Quick, down already.
Down already.
There's been major action already.
And he's sending out
Oh, it's Horsey.
Horsey. I will take it.
How
Thunderbolt
will the
him
time
too.
difference affect that? How's that?
And it's a critical hit.
That's a bad Pokemon choice. Wow, take it down with 1 hit. There's a difference in the number of reserve Pokemon. Oh, it's Krabby.
I sent out everything that's weak to
The
electric
remaining
type.
Pokemon count is 3-1.
Is that to
The
be a
battle
true
has
sailor and
become
only uses
one-sided.
water types.
There it goes. Super effective.
All 3 of them went down on 1 hit with Thunderbolt. I'll take it. And there goes the battle. So that's 3 continues. Oh boy, here comes here's the shenanigans comes in, right? Water types can know ice type moves. I feel like I should lead with Abra. Of course he's got an Execute at level 30. That's probably coming out. What do you know, Pikachu? What up? We have 3 perfect so far. Now I'm trying to figure out what the heck to do here. Might lead with Abra. Durshell, Digiodu, Askly, Torvol, and Q-Dag, and I just know the Execute's gonna come out. I almost want to have Charmander on standby for that. Charmander can also deal with the Ghastly and Coughing with his Dig. Also the Dragon Rage. I keep forgetting he has Dragon Rage. Abra, Pika, and Char. That seems pretty good.
The crowd's excitement is
I forgot to try to find a good Geodude. So I'm using a rental Geodude. Oh, this works, kind of.
A psychic blast! No! This Pokemon looks wrong! That was quick! Down already!
Yeah, slight modifications to the team. Abra now knows Thunder Wave and Seismic Toss along with Psychic and Teleport. There's the annoyance.
The remaining Pokemon count is 3-2.
This is round 4.
Still up in the air.
Should I continue to Psychic till the end of time, or should I swap out the Charmander?
They're staring each other down.
Or should I just keep Psychic?
The trainer hasn't issued an order. The Pokemon returns to its Pokeball. Oh, it's Charmander!
Of course.
A massive explosion! A savage hit!
Well, there goes the chance that
Down! Wow! They're down! They're both down! Which
Poe's
Pokemon
egg
is
have the
coming
Psy
out?
type as baby? I'm not sure.
Here's a Pokemon.
I want to say yes. So much for getting a perfect.
The remaining Pokemon stock
Oh, he also knows that, but if he uses self-destruct, he's kind of screwed. Like, it's an automatic victory for me, even if we both had one Pokemon left. Doesn't make it any less annoying.
And there goes the battle!
We beat Nerd. So we're halfway through with 3 continues. Looking like a Pikachu kind of fight again. Say Pikachu. It might want Charmander, I think, just because of the Dragon Rage. Worst case, if he sends out that Jigglypuff and it proves to be annoying. Or I can just send out the Geodude. Deal with that. True, there is 3 waters. Did I play Pikachu and Abra? Bulbasaur, maybe? Like Bulbasaur it is then.
We're in the last half of the tournament. Things will get white hot. Begin round 5.
Start off with a round of Thunderbolts.
Right! Thunderbolt! No! This Pokemon looks wrong!
Add that to the bingo board, surviving by 1 hit. I
It
dug a hole underground. Oh boy. So Pikachu's gonna die. Of course he knows dig. I kinda wish I had the Geodude.
They're staring each other down.
I don't know that Bulbasaur might be able to tank. I can try. I'm pretty sure Pikachu's gonna get wrecked if he stays out there.
Here's a Pokemon change. Oh, it's Bulbasaur! What now? Boom!
Oh, he tanked it pretty well.
Will this Pokemon swap change the flow of battle?
Hopefully he won't be faster. Oh, he is faster.
What'll it do? Yeah, it's a hit! Wow, Mega Drain! Perfect game! Oh, it's down! We're waiting for the next Pokemon. Oh, it's a Nidoran female! It has to make up for lost ground. The remaining Pokemon count is
Can't
3
poison it
to 2.
because it's already a poison type.
This battle is still up in the air. They strike fighting poses. Oh, there's going to be a change of Pokemon.
Heck yeah, there's going to be a change of Pokemon.
Oh, it's Abra.
It knows Blizzard.
Vigorous attack. A decent hit.
We've got the high
How will
special
the
though,
swap
so
Pokemon fight? A psychic blast. It's doubly effective. Gone! It's a one-hit wonder. There's a difference in the number of reserve Pokemon. Oh, it's Poliwag. The remaining
I think I'm
Pokemon
just
count
gonna
is
stick
3
it out
to
in
1.
Psychic.
The battle has become one-sided. What's this? Severe hit.
Yep, that was definitely the move.
That didn't take much. And there goes
the battle. That's another perfect. Yeah, Bulbasaur ended up doing a pretty good job. One, two, three Pokemon that are weak to water. That's what that Magnemite is there for, I guess. Geodude knows. Dig will deal with 3 of them, you're right. Why no? Yeah, with 3 of them. Magnemite, the Growlithe, and the Charmander. Or who's the 4th that Dig will deal with? Yeah, I was like, okay. Roll with that and see how that goes. Geodude, Charizard, and Abra. Alright, here we go.
The field is thinning out. We're into round 6.
Alright, earn your stripes, Geodude. Oh, of course, it's the fairy. Ice Beam, of course you know Ice Beam. The Geodude's dead.
Pokemon choice. Taken down on the word go. There's been major action already. Oh, it's Abra.
Why wouldn't it know Ice Beam?
The Pokemon
And I'm sure it's gonna know Thunder Wave too.
What now?
Oh, and it's a crit, so hopefully it'll go down.
Down!
Yeah, you take your tears.
Which Pokemon
And I guess we're gonna
is coming
Psychic
out?
till the end of time, basically.
Oh, it's coming! How will the type difference
What's the other one?
affect
Charmander?
battle?
Yeah, no, we're good. Charmander is also level 30.
What's
Should have
this?
pretty decent special, so it's probably not gonna go down in one hit. Yep. And he knows dig.
It's burrowed underground. Sparks are flying in this heated match. They strike fighting poses. A psychic blast.
That's gonna hurt.
Hits the target.
I don't know. Hopefully we'll live.
Savage attack. Major damage. What a furious battle. How's that? Good hit. And it's down. There's only one Pokemon left in reserve. Oh, it's Rolla! The remaining Pokemon stock is 2-1. The tense battle continues.
Pokemon using techniques that
What's next?
you would never expect them to have.
A savage hit!
Expect the unexpected. Oh, put that on the thing. Surviving by one hit. Dragon Rage is gonna kill me.
That's a good hit! Oh! Is it down and out?
Of course, it lives
Both
by
the
7
bats are
HP.
down to their last Pokemon. Oh, it's Charmander! There's just one Pokemon aside now. The battle is coming right down to the wire. There it goes! There, it's a hit! Wow!
I mean, we won,
down.
but at what cost?
And there goes the battle!
True. This is where we got stonewalled last time. This time we have a Geodude in case Eevee comes out with Hyper Beam, but I'll bet it has Ice Beam or something stupid. Get Abra and Geo. Solid. See if the level 30 comes out first.
Semi-finals. No one wants to lose having come this far.
Knew it. Did I swap to Geo? I don't remember, but I want to say no.
They're staring each other down. The trainer hasn't issued an order.
I'll try to Thunder Wave and we'll see. Oh, we are faster.
Ensues Thunder Wave. Oops, it's paralyzed.
There's the double edge, and that's gonna take us down, I
Whoa! Major damage.
think. Oh, it wasn't a crit.
The intense battle continues.
What do you think is the call? Because this is gonna keep double edging every single time.
They're staring each other down. The trainer hasn't issued an order.
That's a fair point. He did do that last time, didn't he?
Trainer? The Pokemon returns to its Pokeball. Oh, it's Geodude!
Yep, there was the quick attack.
What's this? It's not very effective. How will the swapped Pokemon fight?
By rock throw, dig, or strength? Did I just say screw you and self-destruct?
They strike fighting poses. It's burrowed underground. Oh, toxic!
He's just a perfect little evil Eevee, isn't he?
In this battle. What'll it do? A decent hit.
That did like nothing. Oh, he's paralyzed.
It's paralyzed on the spot. What a furious battle!
Guess I'll dig again. Oh, he's gonna swap.
Here's a Pokemon chain. Oh, it's Pikachu!
Why? Now I'm concerned.
The underground attack continues. How will this swap affect the outcome?
What's Pikachu gonna do? Double team. Oh, that's it. Everything's gonna miss.
More evasive.
Every last move from this point on, every last move's gonna miss. Calling it. Yep, there we go. One double team is all it took. Yep, I called it. I called it. That's another bingo board position.
Still improving its state.
I called it. All it takes is one double team, and it's over.
It's burrowed underground again. The crowd's excitement is building over this hot battle. It still won't attack.
Everything's gonna miss. Like, I almost feel like quitting the match.
Savage
Oh, it connected. Look at that. I'm pleasantly surprised.
It's a one-hit wonder.
Maybe if I just keep complaining at the game, it'll eventually say, okay, I see you calling me out on my shenanigans.
Oh, it's Vulpix.
Okay, what's Vulpix gonna know?
The Pokemon are entirely different types. It's burrowed underground.
Okay, well, guess what? I'm also gonna burrow underground. I'll meet you down in the mines, and since I'm slower, you're screwed. Two-turn moves are advantageous to the slower Pokemon.
There it goes! Pow! That's an effective hit! Wow! Taken down with one hit! There's a distinct difference in the number of remaining Pokemon. We're down to the last Pokemon. The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided.
Just keep digging.
They're staring each other down.
I think I just keep digging.
The trainer hasn't issued an order.
That or try it. I'm gonna dig just because I feel like rock throw is gonna miss a million times.
It's paralyzed on the spot. It's burrowed underground again. What a furious battle. How's that? Harsh blow.
Yeah, why don't you double edge me? I was joking.
It's not very effective.
I'll take it.
Hey, what's it doing?
Geodude made the difference. We did get a continue. That was pretty lucky, but now I don't know what to expect with the last guy. Pokemaniac. Yeah, Squirtle knows Blizzard. 120 damage, 120 base, whatever points it is, at a 90% accuracy. Got Surf, Bubble Beam, and Blizzard, which can take out a sizable amount of that. Squirt, Abra, and whoever. Guess I'll go with Geodude. In case that Voltorb decides to come out.
The final battle! Who will bask in the glory of the championship?
Is Almanite weak to ice? I want to say yes, right? Because it's a rock typing.
They go into battle posing. Here's the first move. That was
not very effective.
What will the trainer do now? It didn't do much damage.
The Surf did more damage to me, though.
One is conceding an inch. What now?
Neutral, but it barely does anything compared to him using Surf on me, though.
The attack wasn't effective.
His Surf is destroying me.
The crowd's excitement is building over this hot battle. They're staring
Could I
each other
swap to
down.
maybe Abra? That Squirtle die? Okay.
The trainer hasn't issued an order.
One last Surf then.
What's this? There, it's a hit. What'll it do?
And I'm assuming send out Abra, because Geodude's not going to do anything here.
It's down! What Pokemon will be fighting next? Oh, it's Abra! It has to make up for lost ground. The Pokemon are entirely different types. What now? Good hit! Wow! Go down!
It is only going to be level 25s, yep.
Pokemon be? Oh, it's Psyduck! How will the type difference affect that? They strike fighting poses. What's next? Nature death!
Another spot on the board. Oh, body slam, first turn paralysis, first turn paralysis.
That's a good hit.
Don't you just love that I can basically call these out at this point? I know exactly when it's gonna happen. It's always first. If it's a body slam, first, and it's a crit. It's a crit and it killed me. Add that to the bingo board. Tell me this game doesn't cheat. Tell me this game does, I want someone in chat to tell me this game doesn't cheat.
Oh, it's Geo.
This game cheats. Beyond anything I've ever seen, this game cheats.
Pokemon against 2 now. The 10th battle continues.
Let me guess, Surf. Yep, he got Surf.
Right, that's Surf.
The Psychic didn't take it out in one hit. It first turn Body Slam.
That didn't make
First turn Body Slam paralysis. And then second Body Slam that it uses is a crit and kills me. This game doesn't cheat though, I promise you. You cannot make this up. You cannot make this. This is worse than Mario Kart Syndrome. Oh no, same team. That should have ended with like just Psychic after Psychic, and it didn't. It ended with first I'm telling you, oh my god. First turn Body Slam paralysis, Body Slam again crit. Abra leads. Geo and Bulba. I'll do a Bulba lead. Bulbasaur, Abra, and Geodude. But you know what? Now we didn't pick Squirtle. So now there's gonna be a Dratini.
Vigorous attack. No! This Pokemon looks wrong.
Earthquake.
Savage attack. Severe hit. The intense battle continues. Wow! Mega Drain. Smack the weak spot. And it's down. What will the next Pokemon be? Oh, it's Psyduck! How will the type difference affect battle?
Mega Drain time. Oh wait, he can go first and he's got Blizzard. Never mind. Just kidding. And it's a crit! As if that wasn't gonna be enough. As if it wasn't gonna be enough to kill me. Let's make it a crit too.
What Pokemon will be fighting next? They go into battle posing. Oh, it's Abra! The Pokemon are entirely different types. What's next? Heavy damage!
It lives by 3. Add that to the bingo board. Body Slam first turn paralysis. Oh, it didn't do it this time.
It's a hit. The crowd's excitement is building over this hot battle. A psychic blast. Boom! Oh! Is it down and out?
Now it all depends on what comes out next.
Oh, it's Voltor! The remaining Pokemon stock is 2-1. The 10th battle.
Keep Psychic. I'm surprised that there's no level 30 this time. And it's a crit. Please let it be over. Oh my god, I never have to run this cup ever again.
It's a one-hit wonder. Congratulations! The champion has been
I wish I could be excited about the win, but it is so emotionally draining seeing the computer cheat time and time after. Yeah. That was the most beautiful part. He didn't pick a level 30. Round 2 Petit Cup has been beaten. So now we can move on to level 50 stuff. And we can either do Gym Leader Castle or we can continue running Stadium. So which would you guys rather see? Running Gym Leader Castle or running the Poké Cup? Poké Cup it is. The Pokeball, so hopefully it'll be pretty easy to start off with. Let's see, what do we got available to us? I got quite the lineup that we can actually use here, so... Alakazam 6 times, if only. Alright, so this is my actual level 50 box. I don't think that this Articuno... Yeah, this Articuno, I haven't done anything with it yet, so... It is not quite ready for use in battle. I could always roll out with the team I usually use, which would be Pikachu, Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise. I could always swap out Pikachu for Jolteon. You know who's never failed us in the past? Good old Rhydon. The return of the Rhydon. And Alakazam, maybe? Actually, Alakazam first and then Rhydon. Alright, so Pikachu, Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise, Alakazam, and Rhydon. You know what I'm gonna want to do? I eventually want to get that Alakazam to 55 because it's still at 50.
We're finally underway with Pokemon Tournament Poké Cup Pokeball. We have a large contingent of Pokemon with a bewildering mix of moves. A Psychic Blast!
Psychic until the new year.
Whoa,
Looks like a bad Pokemon choice.
That was quick.
Down already.
There's been major action already. Oh, it's Abra. The remaining Pokemon count is 3-2. This battle is still up in the air. What now?
It was a crit, it was special. Special down. Metronome, jump kick.
What's this? The attack wasn't effective. What a furious battle. What's next? Drill that weak spot. And it's down. There's a difference in the number of reserve Pokemon. Oh, it's Poliwhirl. The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided. What'll it do? A savage hit!
There Everything's kind of surviving that. Oh, everything is just metronome, huh?
What now? Boom! The heated battle rages on. How's that? There, it's a hit. Oh, is it down and out? And there goes
Yeah, he doesn't have
the
fighting type
battle.
until he becomes a Poliwrath. That's true. Juggler is down. One, two, three, four, five Pokemon weak to Psychic. No contest.
What kind of battle can we expect to see? Begin round 2.
Except you were wrong, I don't have an Abra on the team. I have a Alakazam, so you messed up.
Whoa! No! This Pokemon looks wrong! That was quick! Down already! This is a wild one from the word go! Oh, it's Machop! The Pokemon are entirely different types.
This also realizes the furthest I've ever made it into Pokemon Stadium.
Whoa! Looks like a bad Pokemon choice. Wow! Take it down with one
At least
hit.
according to the original save file I had.
There's a difference in the number of reserve Pokemon.
I actually made it to round 2. I have the Dodrio Game Boy. I've got 2 of the cups completed.
3-1. The battle has become one-sided.
I've been working real hard to try and get these Pokemon battle ready. It's just really hard to do so in a time before like PMs were multi-use.
And there goes the battle.
That's the greatest hindrance. But that's the one luxury I'm allowing myself. I'm allowing myself to have multiple of the TMs. Oh yeah, I would definitely not be advancing as well as I am if it weren't for like an actual raised IV EV prepared team. The Ghastly. Really the same team.
The upcoming battle.
I don't want to jinx myself, but I was also saying earlier that I made an adjustment to my equipment. I'm still using that switcher that was having a ton of issues last time. We've been streaming for an hour. We have not had a signal drop. So I don't know if the change I've made is great. And if we make it through several hours of a stream without like signal dropping, then that's gonna be good. I don't want to jinx myself, but might have fixed it. So forgive them. I mean, it'll probably happen. Like if one happens in like a 4-hour stream, I can forgive that. Because my setup's kind of jank and prepared for being able to record off Xbox and PS5 and all that stuff. So I can forgive it to an extent. If it's like 1, maybe 2, but what it was doing last night was blinking in and out, and that was aggravating, having to get up and make my way over to the equipment and having to reset a bunch of it.
Supersonic! The move failed! Fireworks are flying in this battle. savage attack. Yeah,
You know,
it's a hit.
my mind read that as cue the hiccups, but my brain also read it as get the hiccups.
There's a distinct difference in the number of remaining Pokemon. Oh, it's Vulpix. The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided. Vigorous attack. Major damage. Flash out confused.
I'm confused.
There's a big difference in HP.
Ow.
It attacked itself.
Oh, here we go. First turn body slam paralysis.
What's that? A decent hit.
Aw, sorry. Can't be on the bingo
crowd's
board.
excitement is
That's
building over this
unfortunate.
hot battle. There it goes. Drilled that weak spot. Oh, is it down and out?
Imagine this Alakazam at level 55. Yeah, this Alakazam, right? This Abra, when I caught it, I don't know if I still have a screenshot of its stats. I definitely know I have a backup of the save probably around the time that I caught it, so I could always just load it up and give him a quick peek. But I know I was like, oh boy, this Abra is gonna go places. I've got 3 Pokemon weak to fire. I've got 3 Pokemon weak to ground. I don't know, Charizard, Rhydon, and Alakazam. Because Alakazam seems to be the go-to whenever things get silly. Alakazam, Charizard, and Rhyhorn. Or Rhydon, rather.
The crowd's excitement is building. This is round 4.
I can't wait till I get this team to level 100.
They strike fighting poses.
Probably should have switched to
Here's the first move.
Rhydon.
Severe hit.
Thunder Wave.
Ensues Thunder Wave. Oops, it's paralyzed.
Hindsight, I should have swapped to the
Rhydon.
Rhydon.
Building over this hot battle.
Oh, there goes
A
Alakazam.
massive explosion. A savage hit. Wow! Going down. We're waiting for the next Pokemon.
Next one's an electric type, I'm definitely swapping. Oh,
Whoa. It has to make up for lost
should I just let
ground.
Ala drop?
How will the type difference affect that?
Everything's gonna be paralysis, I can feel that. It's gonna know Stun Spore. I just don't know what it's gonna do now. I mean, whatever it does now, it's probably gonna take me down. I'd like to go for the continue, but
The trainer hasn't
I don't know if
issued
it's
an
such a
order.
good. I don't know if it's a good idea to swap because at this point he's paralyzed. He has low health, so I don't think he's gonna survive a hit anyway.
What's the matter, trainer?
Maybe we could chance it.
Here's a Pokemon change. Oh, it's Charizard.
Let's see how he was gonna finish me off. Wow, what an insult! He was just gonna acid.
Its defense is down. How will this swap affect the outcome? Flamethrower. It's doubly effective.
Stun Spore.
A stun for cloud. Oops, it's paralyzed. One still rarer to go. but the opponent appears beat. What's next? Block the weak spot. Savage attack. Wow, that's an effective hit. And it's down. There's a difference in the number of reserve Pokemon. Oh, it's Magnemite. The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided. Oh, there's going to be a change of Pokemon. Oh, it's Rhydon. It's more resistant to physical.
Surprised he did that instead.
How will the swapped Pokemon fight?
Wait, how am I faster than Magnemite?
Super effective.
Is Magnemite slow?
What now? It didn't do much damage. This matchup has become one-sided.
I mean,
How's that?
I would have assumed that Rhydon was going to be slower than whatever it was typically going to face.
And there goes the battle!
Oh, we got the continue. Old man. What a weird team. Blastoise knows Ice Beam. Omastar there is gonna be annoying. I picked Rhydon.
We're in the last half of the tournament. Things will get white hot. Begin round 5.
I don't know if he says quite hot or white hot.
They go into battle poses. Here's the first move. Heavy damage.
And if we were level 55, I think he would have been down.
Watch the weak.
Oh my
An
god.
exchange of heavy hits started a fight.
I get that was slash, but oh my
A
god.
lightning blast. That's a good hit. And it's down. Which Pokemon is coming out? Oh, it's Omastar. It has to make up for lost ground.
Fair. Fair, I
How
guess.
will the type difference affect battle? What's this?
Oh, it didn't go down in one hit. I was expecting it to go down in one hit.
Right, that's sir.
I just lost Alakazam.
Yeah, it's a hit.
Oh, I didn't lose Alakazam.
Neither one
I'm
is competing
surprised.
with
I'm gonna recover.
They strike fighting poses. It's restoring HP.
Got Blizzard.
What'll it do?
And I'm frozen. First Blizzard of the night. I get frozen. I can't do anything. I just have to let him die now.
Now,
In future games, you can thaw out eventually, but here you can't do anything.
no, it is Blizzard. There, it's a hit. What a
There's
furious
nothing I
battle.
can do here. This is over. I could swap the Blastoise. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Combatants face each other. The Pokemon returns to its Pokeball. Oh, it's Blastoise! What now? The attack wasn't effective. How will the swapped Pokemon fight?
Why didn't I kill him? I wouldn't have been able to kill him. I'm assuming you mean why didn't I blast him with a second psychic? I wouldn't have killed him. If you look at his health, he's over half. He would have still lived.
The trainer hasn't
Also, I didn't expect him to have Blizzard. Nor did I expect to be frozen on the very first Blizzard that the game uses tonight. Although...
What's the matter, trainer?
I think he still would have lived, honestly. Just because this game cheats. It's hard for me to comprehend these things because it's like it should work this way, and then the computer just does whatever it feels like. I mean, you're probably not wrong, but to the degree that this game cheats, like I'm paranoid every time.
Count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided.
Oh, of course you know Thunder. Why would the cat Pokemon that's a normal type not know Thunder? Oh, and I'm paralyzed.
It's paralyzed on the spot. The crowd's excitement is building over this.
I swap out to Rhydon. I don't know what Seep is. I'm assuming you mean swap.
They're staring each other down. Here's a Pokemon chain. Oh, it's Rhydon! What's this? Oh, the attack missed! Will this Pokemon swap change the flow of battle?
Bubble Beam! Of course he knows Bubble Beam! Why wouldn't he know Bubble Beam and Thunder?
Whoa! Severe hit!
And he lives. So we lost.
Both Pokemon have taken heavy damage.
We have officially lost.
Bubble Beam! Super effective! Wow! Going down! We're waiting for the next Pokemon.
Might as well let Alakazam die. It's not like he can do anything anyway, so just go down, Alakazam. Make him waste his skills.
The remaining Pokemon stock is 2-1. The combatants are making sparks fly. It's frozen rock salt. Body slam. Powerful strike. And it's down. We're down to one Pokemon aside.
Thunder's not gonna miss because it's the computer. Don't you know? It's gonna have 100% accuracy because it's gonna kill me. So it's gonna have 100% accuracy.
Now, the battle is coming right down to the wire. Savage attack. Miss the target.
Paralyzed? Oh, look at that. I'm pleasantly surprised that the computer decided not to cheat.
It's finally taken down. And there goes the battle.
What the heck? Pikachu, Alakazam, and Blastoise. Whoa, calm down there, game. I don't even know what you picked. Stop!
The field is thinning out. We're into round 6.
Of course. He leads with that. I'm gonna swap out.
Oh, and a rough Pokemon change. Oh, it's Blastoise. The other trainer also changes Pokemon.
What the hell?
Oh, it's Dugong.
Why did he swip?
They're both
Why did he swap? He swapped because he knew I was gonna swap.
What now?
Oh, I got, for the first time ever, I got a first turn body slam paralysis.
What will it do? It's not very effective. Fireworks are flying in this battle.
Want me to try a surf? Or do you want me to keep body slamming?
They strike fighting poses. Hit no weak spot.
Well, that doesn't count because that was a crit.
What's this? That was weak. Sparks are flying in this heated match.
You want me to try surf again or do you want me to body slam?
They're staring each other down. What's next? It didn't do much damage. What now? The attack wasn't effective. The crowd's excitement is building over this hot battle. What'll it do? It's not very effective.
I would say so. I accidentally picked surf there. I meant to pick body slam.
What's this?
Oh, look at that! I got frozen right when he was about to die,
There's no
too.
fighting back while
What?
you're frozen. They go in
Now I have to
battle
wait for him to
frozen.
kill me so that I can have a safe swap in.
It's frozen rock solid. What's next? That was weak.
I hope one day when I'm spamming Ice
The
Beam on
intense
something
battle continues.
that I get to see it get frozen. That's the dream right there.
It can't make a move. It's paralyzed on the spot. What a furious battle. Oh, it still can't move. Ice Beam. Yeah, it's a hit.
I just want to be able to spam Ice Beam and see something get frozen.
Wow. Goes down. Which Pokemon is coming out? Oh, it's Alakazam. It has to make up for lost ground. The Pokemon are entirely different types. A Psychic Blast. There, it's a hit. It's finally taken down. What Pokemon will be fighting next? Here's a Pokemon trick. How will the type difference affect battle?
It's gonna have Explosion, but I don't
What
think it's
now?
gonna survive. It survived by a sliver, I would never have
Both
expected
Pokemon have taken heavy
a
damage.
Golem, a Graveler, any of that to survive an Alakazam Psychic. I don't care if it's level
There it
52.
goes.
I don't care if it's 2 levels higher than me. I would never have expected it to survive that.
It's down. There's only one Pokemon left in reserve. Oh, it's Rhyhorn. The remaining Pokemon stock is 2-1. The
Should I
tenth
recover
battle
or Psychic?
continues.
I feel like I should recover. Just because of the stupidity that I just saw happen in front of me.
They're staring
I'm gonna
each other
recover. Yeah,
down.
I'm gonna recover.
It's restoring HP.
It's got dig.
It's burrowed underground. The crowd's excitement.
Oh,
is
since I
building
know I'm
for
gonna
this tough
miss,
battle.
I'm gonna go ahead and top off. Then on the next turn,
Restoring HP.
depending on how much damage I take, I will
Vigorous attack. Severe hit. The intense battle continues.
recover. I'm gonna assume he's gonna keep digging.
It's
If he
restoring
digs again,
HP.
I'm going to use Yep, he's digging again. I'm gonna use reflect. Yep.
The underground attack continues. What a furious battle. They go into battle poses. It's more resistant to physical blows. There's the attack. A decent hit.
Ooh, that's much
Fireworks
better.
are flying in this battle. What's next? Special stat is down.
See, I knew it wasn't gonna die on one hit.
It's burrowed underground again. Neither one is conceding an
I'm
inch.
gonna recover again.
It's restoring HP.
And the next psychic, I think, will finish it.
Savage attack. Boom! Sparks are flying in this heated match.
How does it feel being the player while I get to be the computer game?
There, it's
How do you
a
like
hit.
that? I like being put into a position where you can't literally do anything.
And there goes the battle.
Yeah, you didn't like it, did you, game? Gamer. I know I'm definitely gonna have an Alakazam on the team. Oops, I messed up. Now Rhyhorn and Blastoise.
This is it, the semi-finals. No one wants to lose having come this far.
It's gonna know Thunder Wave. And it's gonna know Thunderbolt or Thunder. If I swap out to Blastoise, it's gonna be annoying. I'm gonna bet it also knows Ice Beam, so I can't go out to Rhydon, so I think I'm better off staying with Alakazam.
The trainer hasn't issued an order. What'll it lead with? The special stat is down.
And you new Thunder Wave.
Ensues Thunder Wave. Oops, it's paralyzed. The crowd's excitement is building over this hot battle.
And it knows Wrap. It's really gonna
What
do
now?
this.
And the weak spot. It can't make
It
a
is
move.
really gonna do this strategy. Are you
Sparks are
kidding me?
flying in this heated match.
I don't know what to do, because
They're staring each other down.
until Wrap misses, I can't do anything. He will literally wrap me to death.
The trainer hasn't issued an order. What's the matter, trainer? Now, here's a Pokemon change. Oh, it's Blastoise! How will the swapped Pokemon fight?
Glad I was able to go first.
It's doubly effective. Wow! Going down! What Pokemon will be fighting next? Oh, it's Rapidash! The Pokemon are entirely different types.
Of course, I know it's toxic.
Oh, toxic! It opted to slowly damage the opponent. Hydro Pump! Oh,
It missed.
that's
Of course, it missed. The one time I decided to use it,
Fireworks are flying in this battle.
I was gonna go for the one turn kill. And it knows Fire Spin.
What's this? That was weak. It can't make a move.
Oh my god,
Neither
how
one
annoying.
is exceeding an inch. Combatants face each other. Oh, there's going to be a change of Pokemon.
Everything he's gonna do is paralyze, wrap, fire spin. If he had a water type, I'm sure it would have been using
Will
clamp.
this Pokemon swap change the flow of battle? What'll it do? The poison will slowly sap the strength. Earthquake! Wow, that's an effective hit! Down! That didn't take much! There's a distinct difference in the number of remaining Pokemon. Oh, it's Arbok! The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided.
Wrap.
What now? Missed the
It
target.
missed? Oh boy. Please let this end it.
Savage attack. That's the weak spot. Gone! It's a one-hit wonder. And there goes the battle.
Oh, you see what he's got? I already know in the future, Master Ball Cup, or Master Ball level, that Abro's gonna be an Alakazam and that Drowsy's gonna be a Hypno. That Slowpoke's gonna be a freaking Slowbro. And Execute, everything here is gonna be Psychic type. And Psychics have no weakness back then. Ghosts are supposed to have an advantage, but the only damaging ghost attack back then was Nightshade, which is locked to how much damage it can do. He's got 4 Pokemon that can take advantage of Psychic.
This is it, the final battle! Who will bask in the glory of the championship?
Possibly.
To battle poses. Changing Pokemon. That Pokemon must not have been the right choice. Oh, it's Charizard! Here's the first move. Yeah, it's a hit! Sparks are flying in this heated match. Ah! Devastating!
Super effective and a crit, I'll take it.
Gone! It's a one-hit wonder! Which Pokemon is coming out? Oh, it's Abra! How will the type difference affect that?
I should have gone with the slash just because would have been oh, never mind, Earthquake got a crit.
That didn't take much! There's a difference in the number of reserve Pokemon. Oh, it's Drowsy! The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided.
He's such a weird Pokemon. I don't know where his like strengths and weaknesses lie. I think he just has good defense in general.
What's this? Harsh blow. What's next? Boom! The crowd's excitement is building over this hot battle. What now? Major damage! What'll it do? There, it's a hit! Both Pokemon appear weak. Earthquake! Nail the weak spot! And it's down!
We struggled a bit, a little tiny bit to get through this.
Congratulations! The champion has been decided!
Righty. Are you up for another one? That case, how about we do some Gym Leader Castle just because, you know, those sessions are shorter in general. probably do like 1 or 2 gyms here, I guess. As long as we advance. In any case, it should still be level 50 content. Strong man. My strength-using compatriot over there. I forgot that he was in my party. And the good thing about Gym Leader Castle is I don't have to worry about anything being above level 50. Everything is going to be level 50. At least I think that's how it works.
We bring you this battle live from Gym Leader Castle. How will our intrepid challenger fare against the best of the best? What will it be? There, it's a hit.
Okay, he's bug poisoned.
Here's the first move. It's been poisoned. What a furious battle!
Also, I don't need to worry about continues here, I don't think. Yeah, Gym Leader Castle doesn't have continues, so...
Oh, it's Alakazam!
To that degree, it's a little less annoying than,
Wind Needle! No! This Pokemon looks wrong!
a little less annoying than the cups.
Pokemon swap change the flow of battle? A Psychic Blast! Perfect day! And it's down! Which Pokemon is coming out?
Do 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 do
Oh,
do.
it's Parrot! It has to make up for lost ground. The Pokemon are entirely different types. What now? Harsh Blow!
Dig? Really?
Burrowed underground. The heated battle rages on. It's restoring HP. What's this? Yeah, it's a hit. Fireworks are flying in this battle. Savage attack. Boom! Wow! Going down! There's a distinct difference in the number of remaining Pokemon. Oh, it's Rattata! The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided.
Oh, he's got a quick attack.
A decent hit. Vigorous attack. Severe hit.
Not what I thought he was going to use, but I guess he figured he'd do whatever he can before he goes down.
Wonder. And there goes the battle.
Sorry, Bug Boy. Coming for you next, lad.
Here's the second
Pretty
adversary.
much.
The challenger needs to stay calm to earn victory. Changing Pokemon. That Pokemon must not have been the right choice. Oh, it's Execute.
Pretty psychic slap, I guess.
What'll it lead with? It's not very effective. The heated battle rages on. The Pokemon returns to its Pokeball. Oh, it's Charizard!
Every time.
Oh, toxic! The poison will slowly sap the strength. Will this Pokemon swap change the flow of battle?
Maybe not Alakazam by itself.
Flamethrower. Wow, that's an effective hit. Oh, is it down and out? Which Pokemon is coming out? Oh, it's Arbok! The Pokemon are entirely different types. Earthquake! Whoa! Looks like a bad Pokemon choice.
Probably.
What'll it do? Its defense is down.
Man, Acid lowers defense a lot more than I remember giving it credit for. I think every time I've seen someone use Acid, it's gone down. Oh, wait, what? Where are you going? Oh, Earthquake's gonna miss now.
What's this? Oops, that's a miss. How will the
Well, alrighty then. Guess who's coming back out?
Here's a Pokemon chase.
Of course, you guys got confused, right?
It's confused. How will this swap affect the outcome?
Oh,
Whoa!
when you see any starting animation that does not look normal, you can already tell it's gonna connect. Oh, and he's got Leech Life.
This Pokemon looks wrong. Neither one is conceding an inch.
You better hope a single Psychic doesn't get through. Oh, there we go again. Got hit.
Uh-oh, it's confused.
So, I got confused. 2 turns in a row. I've hurt myself. We're gonna add that to the bingo board.
That's the weak spot. The heated battle rages on.
3rd turn confused. Oh, okay, finally it goes off.
Whoa. Perfect day.
Make fun of his teeth.
Gone. It's a one-hit
His smile's
wonder.
throwing up gang signs.
There's a difference in the number of reserve Pokemon. We're down to the last Pokemon. The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided. A Psychic Blast!
I want you to know that was 4 turns that I was confused. In 2 of those turns, I ended up hurting myself.
Going down! And there goes the battle!
I'm gonna bet that if Arbok would have somehow survived, I would have been confused for all 5 turns because this game. Okay, male junior trainer with the upside down Pokeball scarf. I was gonna lead with Blastoise. And I was definitely gonna pick Venusaur, but I didn't know to go with my 3rd. Who am I kidding? It was gonna be Alakazam. Digster!
commands are issued.
Big Stir's
Here's the
faster
first
than me.
move. That's a good hit. Ride that Stir. Whoa! Looks like a bad Pokemon choice. Taken down on the word go. This is a wild one from the word go. Oh, it's Farfetch. The Pokemon are entirely different types. Savage attack. No, this Pokemon looks wrong. What's this? Hit the weak spot. The heated battle rages on.
Unfortunate that I don't ever get a freeze on my first turn Ice Beam.
Super effective. Oh, it's down. There's a distinct difference in the number of remaining Pokemon. Oh, it's Sandshrew. The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided. There it goes!
Sandslash is one of my favorite ground types.
Wow, that's an effective hit! Wow, taken down with one hit! And there goes the battle!
Alright, Brocky boy. One, two, three, 4 weak to water. Blastoise, Venusaur, and Alakazam.
The next battle is against Pewter Gym leader, Brock. How will the challenger battle Brock's rock-hard team?
Fantastic. Not weak to that, so I think I'm gonna swap out to Venus. But will it no Ice Beam? Should I stick with Blastoise, or should I swap out to Venusaur? Or should I just body slam him, because that's the lesson we learned last time? Didn't Surf prove not to be very effective or whatever? At least part water or whatever. Or it broke even is what it was, right? Oh. I want you to know I literally picked that selection as soon as I saw you say, give me a sec.
Yeah, it's a hit.
Of course he knows Toxic. Everyone knows Toxic.
It opted to slowly damage the opponent. The heated battle rages on. They're staring each other down. The trainer hasn't issued an order. What's the matter, trainer?
Maybe your Surf Pursue and swap to reset Toxic, or just Surf to death.
An order. What now? Oh! this?
Look at Brock using Pokemon that has water types. I didn't know he was Misty.
Conceding an inch. What'll it do? There, it's a hit.
I feel like next surfer will take him down, hopefully.
It didn't do much damage. What a furious battle. Right, that's third. Good hit. Wow! Going down. What Pokemon will be fighting next? Oh, it's Ninetales.
Oh, it's
It has
Ninetales.
to make up for lost
Has to
ground.
make up for lost ground. It's also going to be
This is a
faster
fight
than me.
Between two different types of Pokemon.
Chance to surf, you think? I'm gonna die.
Now,
Oh my god, fire spin.
What now?
With the poison.
it's not very effective.
Brock, you are a rock type trainer. Why are you using a Ninetales? Should I just let Blastoise drop? Because I mean, I don't think he's gonna survive long enough to do anything going forward.
They go into battle poses. The attack is still continuing. A minor hit.
Yeah, but that toxic was gonna kill me.
Oh! Is it down and out?
Aside from being locked.
Which Pokemon is coming out?
That's food for thought, though.
Alakazam!
Having toxic and fire spin or wrap or any of these other nonsense attacks. Ninetales has pretty high special, so this is probably not gonna take it out in one hit. Not even close to taking it out in one hit. What the hell?
It's biding its time. The heated battle rages on. It's more resistant to physical blows. It's still biding its time. Fireworks are flying in this battle.
Why what?
They're staring each other down. The trainer hasn't issued an order.
Oh, because it's using bite. I didn't want to hit it. I figured I could set up a reflect in the meantime, just in case.
What's the matter, trainer?
Doesn't bite reflect a certain damage back to you or whatever?
What's the matter,
It
trainer?
lasts for 2 or 3 turns. I can't remember how many turns it lasts for. But if they get hit during any of those turns, then it reflects the damage, basically. Or something like that.
The trainer hasn't issued an order.
And it will be a physical, so I didn't want to have Alakazam get slapped by it. But if I set up a
What's the
reflect
matter,
and then I
trainer?
choose to attack now, then I should still be safe.
The trainer hasn't issued an order.
Or do you not agree? I don't know.
What's the matter, trainer? The trainer hasn't issued an order.
Oh, I don't
What's the matter,
know.
trainer?
I don't think I would have killed it. Again, I'm not
What'll it do?
what's the word I'm
There,
looking
it's a
for?
hit. It's done enough fighting. Major damage.
And that's why I didn't want to attack it.
Conceding an inch.
And that's with reflect.
A psychic blast. Goodness. Oh, it's down.
Given the damage that the first psychic did, I really didn't think it was going to die in the next turns. I mean, that's on me though.
On it. The remaining Pokemon stock is 2-1. The 10th battle continues. What's next? A savage hit! Gone! It's a one-hit wonder! That's it! Stay clear!
See the key from Brock and open Misty's tower. I would not be surprised. You say that as a joke, but I don't see it as a joke. Should I maybe take Executor in with us on this one? That would be expecting Misty to have, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it don't. You're coming at me with water types, I'll have an electric type. Actually, no. She'll have a fire type because, you know, I'll bring out a grass type, or she'll have a rock type or a ground type. I don't know, instead of Rhydon, should I bring out Executor? I don't know. Just having another psychic solar beam potential. Got Sleep Powder, Leech Seed, Solar Beam, and Psychic was the best I could do for him.
Here's the first opponent of this gym series. A decisive victory is expected.
Oh great, here comes the double edging again.
What'll it be?
Not a little Bulbasaur this time anymore though.
Nail the weak spot.
Oh, first turn body slam paralysis.
What will the other side do?
I'm always gonna call it because it has such a high tendency to happen.
Neither one.
Maybe if I keep calling it out, the game will be like, oh fine, I don't want to prove you right.
What's next? What's the weak spot?
Wish Execute could learn, Executor could have learned Razor Leaf. That would have been way better.
What Pokemon will be fighting next?
Razor Leaf's always going to be a crit, basically. I think it's more rare for it not to be a crit.
The Pokemon are entirely different types.
In fact, I don't think I've ever seen Razor Leaf not be a critical hit, now that I think about it.
Whoa! Looks like a bad Pokemon choice. Why? Taken down with one hit! There's a difference in the number of reserve Pokemon.
For anyone that's watching since the beginning of my Pokemon Yellow playthrough, now you see why I soft resetted the hell out
The
of
remaining Pokemon count is
Razor,
3
not
to
Razor
1.
Leaf, I almost called them
The
Razor Leaf,
battle
Venusaur,
has
the
become
starters.
one-sided.
I don't think I can do that for
Razor
going
Leaf
forward Gold and
first.
Silver, because that's going to be so nutty.
Round 0.
I don't know what I'm going to do for Gold and Silver. Or in Crystal when I get to that point, because oh my god, that's going to be rough.
And there goes the battle!
I want you to look at this team, right? And remember that we are at a water type gym. Just remember that, ladies and gentlemen, we are at a water type gym. And then look at this trainer's Pokemon. I see a flying type, an electric type, a ground type, a psychic type, a normal type, and one, count them, one water type. And Stadium 2 will be a team effort.
How will the gym's second opponent conduct battle? We'll need a strong effort to win.
Little Pidge.
Here's the first move. Power strike.
Oh, sand attack. Everything's gonna miss. That's gonna be a bingo card.
Accuracy took a hit.
Remember that.
Neither one is conceding an
If
inch.
Psychic misses, we're gonna put it on the bingo board.
What's this? That's a good hit.
Really wanted to get one hit in, huh?
A psychic blast. Good hit.
Oh, sorry guys, can't put it on the bingo board.
Oh, it's down. Which Pokemon is coming out? Oh, it's Clefairy. How will the type difference affect battle? Now,
Swap? Well,
what
I will
now?
have to swap after this.
Severe hit.
Oh, everything's just gonna be lowering accuracy, huh?
Took a hit.
Should I try to Psychic one more time, or should I really consider swapping? Always swap to Executor and just Psychic with him instead, right? Maybe not swap?
They're staring each other down. Oh, there's going to be a change of Pokemon. Oh, it's Executor.
First turn Body Slam Paralysis?
What's next? A decent hit.
Nope.
How will the swap Pokemon fight? How's that? A savage hit! Wow! Going down! There's a distinct difference in the number of remaining Pokemon. Oh, it's Electric! The remaining Pokemon count is 3 to 1. The battle has become one-sided.
He's gonna go first. He's got Flash.
What'll it do? The move
It
failed. to
failed?
complete. Savage attack. Special attack is down. Neither one is conceding an inch. What's this? Yeah, it's a hit. There it goes. Harsh blow. Oh, is it down and out?
And there goes his goofy-looking Pokemon victory. Lots of pokes that are gonna be weak to grass and electric. I don't know. Alakazam could definitely be first, because 3 of those are weak to Psychic. Amy could be first. I was about to say, that's not a Pokemon. It's someone else entirely.
Here's the third trainer battle with only the gym leader left after this. What kind of battle can we expect to see?
He's flexing on me. I agree.
What'll it be?
Typing on the phone is annoying. Oh, he did not die because his special dropped. First term body slam paralysis.
What will the other side do? There,
I think that's gonna be the anti-chant. If I keep saying that when it happens, it'll never happen. That's the goal.
A psychic blast. Wow, that's an effective
I agree.
hit.
He should have been dead.
Oh, is it down?
But remember,
and out?
this is Pokemon Stadium, and it cheats.
What Pokemon will be fighting next? Oh, it's Tentacool. The Pokemon are entirely different types. There's the attack. Whoa, looks like a bad Pokemon choice. Hydro Pump. A savage hit.
Jeez.
Both Pokemon have taken heavy damage. Savage attack. Super effective. And it's down.
Alakazam has been best girl so far.
There's a difference in the number of reserve Pokemon. Oh, it's Horsey. The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided. It's restoring HP.
First turn Ice Beam Freeze.
What's this?
1 in 10 chance. No, but it is a crit.
What a furious battle.
A 1 in 10 chance, I think, that Ice Beam can freeze on first turn. Or not on first turn, but on a turn. Using Surf instead. I think it was better off using Ice Beam. But this will be a stab, though, I guess.
Yeah, it's a hit.
Stab, but it was
Sparks
not
are flying in
good.
this heated match. What'll it do? Harsh blow.
I don't need to recover on the next turn. The next Psychic will finish this.
Both Pokemon are exhausted. How's that? Boom! Oh! It's down! And there goes the battle!
Alakazam carry. Alakazam's poor back. All right, let's see. What the heck? A grass type and a ground type? Why does she have a grass type and a ground type? Not just a grass type, a grass psychic.
This is it! The battle against Misty, the Cerulean gym leader and the maiden of water Pokemon. Let's see what the challenger has in store
Ice
for
type.
her.
Razor Leaf. Razor till I drop.
Now, what'll it lead with? Mighty blows and the word go.
Ice Beam. Blizzard. Aura Beam.
What will the other side do? Whoa! Looks like a bad Pokemon choice. The heated battle rages on. Razor Leaf Flurry. Devastating. Wow! Going down. We're waiting for the next Pokemon.
Do 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 do.
Oh, it's Starmie.
Great, Starmie with the psychic.
How will the type
Could I
difference affect
swap
that?
to Executor and Solar Beam?
They're staring each other down.
So Starmie is definitely going to be faster than me, and I'm willing to bet it has Psychic.
The trainer hasn't issued an order. The trainer's changing Pokemon. Oh, it's Executor!
I knew it.
What's this? It's not
Predicted
very
the Psychic.
effective. Will this Pokemon swap change the flow of battle?
Thunder Wave.
Ensues
Is gonna make
Thunder
using
Wave.
Solar Beam
Oops,
risky.
it's paralyzed.
Already proving to be risky.
Paralyzed on the spot. Fireworks are flying in this battle. What now? The attack wasn't effective.
Again?
Can't make a move.
Of course.
The intense battle continues. What's that?
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to Leech Seed, but
Special stat is down.
oh my god.
Leech Seed. There, it's a hit. Neither one is conceding an inch. Combatants face each other. What'll it do?
And then my special drops twice in a row. Let's put that on the bingo board.
What's this? That was weak.
That did nothing.
What a furious battle!
Might have to swap to Alakazam, but Psychic didn't do anything to begin with. And it's just gonna Thunder Wave Alakazam as well.
They're staring each other down.
Gonna try to sleep it. Buy some turns with Leech Seed.
The trainer hasn't issued an order. What now? It didn't do much damage.
It's paralyzed on the spot.
Paralyzed on the spot. Sparks are flying in this heated match.
How annoying.
They go into battle poses. What's that? Oh, the attack missed.
And I'm paralyzed again.
And move again. The heated battle.
Hey game, I hope that eventually you're gonna let me do the same thing when I paralyze someone. I hope they're gonna be paralyzed for 2 turns in a row every single time.
Not very effective.
Stupid.
It's sleep power. Oh no, it fell asleep. Falling asleep is going to make this a one-sided fight. The Pokemon returns to its Pokeball.
Of course it woke up. Not even 1 turn. Are you kidding me?
How will the swapped Pokemon fight?
Tell me this game doesn't cheat. No, we're dead.
Psychic Blast.
And it's a crit.
Like a bad Pokemon choice. And it's down.
Tell me this game doesn't cheat. Oh my god, tell me this game doesn't cheat.
Oh, it's Alakazam. We're evenly matched at 2 Pokemon aside. Neither Pokemon is backing down. What's this? What's the weak spot?
And there's a stupid Thunder Wave.
Now? Oops, it's paralyzed. Neither one is conceding an inch. What's that? The attack wasn't effective. What'll it do? Yeah, it's a hit. It goes down after a good fight.
Replace
There's
good
only
with
one
cheap
Pokemon
game.
left in reserve.
Don't say good.
Oh, it's
Oh my
double.
god.
The remaining Pokemon stock is 2-1. The 10th battle continues.
What are the chances that I uses Dig and that I should use Reflect now? Or should I try to Psychic?
They're staring each other down. The trainer hasn't issued an order. What's the matter, trainer? The trainer hasn't issued an order.
Earthquake.
There's the attack. Severe hit. What's this?
It didn't die.
Both Pokemon
And I'm
have
not going to
taken
survive
heavy damage.
anything. She won.
They're staring each other down.
Glad the game decided to cheat. It really makes my experience so much more fun.
Earthquake. That's a good hit. Oh, it's down.
Because, you know, Misty using a Doug trio.
We're down to one Pokemon aside.
Misty using a Doug trio. Misty using a Doug trio.
Ow, this one's
I didn't know
ready to
Doug trio
rock.
was a water type.
There's just one Pokemon aside now. The battle is coming right down to the wire. What a flash! Powerful strike. Oh, is it down and out?
I just love losing to cheapness. That's my favorite part of this game.
And there
Puts a
goes
big old
the
smile on my
battle.
face. When themed Pokemon trainers don't use Pokemon within their theme. That's my favorite. You have yourself a good one. I'm gonna try one more time and then I'm probably gonna call it quits. Oh, definitely need it because the game
Here's
cheats.
The first opponent of this gym series. A decisive victory.
Should change the name of the
is
stream to
expected.
Pokemon Cheat DM.
They strike fighting poses. Here's the first move. Mighty blows and the word go.
For Cheatermon Stadium.
Ensues, self-destruct. Nail the weak spot.
And of course it's a crit. If this kills me. Oh my god.
Go
I think that's a
down.
sign that I should stop the stream for tonight.
Wow, they're down. They're both down. There's been major action already. Oh, it's Executor. Oh, it's War Turtle. How will the type difference affect that? What's this? The bear hit. What will it do? Whoa! Looks like a bad Pokemon choice. The heated battle rages on. A psychic blast. Powerful strike. Wow! Goes down. There's only one Pokemon left in reserve. Oh, it's Speaking. The remaining Pokemon stock is 2-1. The 10th battle continues.
Oh, cool.
Whoa! Horn drill! Missed the target. It's building energy.
Everything
for
that
the
would make it a
next
one-hit
attack.
KO attack. Got it. That's the kind of battle we're having.
What a furious battle!
Their last Pokemon, though. If they do that, they automatically lose.
Whoa! Whoa!
Wait, isn't that their last
Missed
Pokemon?
too.
Pretty sure it is.
Solar Beam. Super effective. Down! That didn't take much. And there goes the battle.
Pokemon Stadium ASMR.
How will the gym's second opponent conduct
But that upsets me anyway.
We'll need a strong effort to win. They go into battle poses. Here's
Welcome to the
first
stream, Arzakali. I don't know if I pronounced that right.
The smoke screen went up. Accuracy took a hit. Fireworks are flying in this battle.
More or less. We got smoke screen, so this is gonna go on the bingo board. One. Oh no,
A savage
nothing
hit.
on the bingo board yet.
Oh, toxic! It opted to slowly damage the opponent. Sparks are flying in this heated match. A psychic blast.
I have a general understanding of it.
Oh, it's down.
No, there's no special defense
What
in
Pokemon will be
Gen 1.
fighting next?
That's not gonna be till Gen 2.
Oh, it's Pidgeot.
Yeah, speed also has a crit chance, that's correct.
How will the type difference affect that? What'll it do? Harsh blow.
We've been dealing with some pretty hightail shenanigans.
Mighty sand attack. Accuracy took a hit.
I have to swap out just because it's
What
two
a
stages
furious
of
battle.
accuracy lowering stuff that they've done to me at this point. Oh, he's gonna quick attack. He did that last time too.
What's next?
Yep,
Boom.
one hit KO moves are also determined by speed. That's how we
What's that?
cheesed Mewtwo
Heavy
in,
damage.
at the end of round 1.
Oh, is it down and out?
Just paralyzed them in Horn Drill and Fissure until
There's
win.
a difference in the number of reserve Pokemon. Oh, it's Clefairy. The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided.
Yeah, there's stuff I haven't done yet. Like, I know
What's
it's
this?
definitely beneficial to like Toxic Wrap. Oh,
That's a miss.
bound to happen. Like Toxic Wrap or Fire Spin Toxic.
Brilliant Flash. Accuracy
Doing all
took
that
a
stuff. I haven't done it yet,
hit.
but
The intense battle continues.
if I can do like Leech Seed Toxic Wrap, it'd be kind of wild.
What'll it do? Miss the
Yeah, I
target.
definitely want to swap out. Oh, I don't even think I'm gonna get the chance to swap out.
What's next? A savage hit! It goes down after a good fight. Which Pokemon is coming out? The commands are issued. Oh, it's Venusaur! The remaining
Is it?
Pokemon stock is
I thought it was
2-1.
at the end of every turn. Like if you're wrapped, I think it'll say you can't move, and then you just still get hit with the poison. I'm pretty sure that's what happens. Oh, you know Psychic. Why didn't I see that coming?
Whoa! Looks like a bad Pokemon choice. Fireworks are flying in this battle. What's this? Powerful strike. Oh, it's down.
Can't wait to get to Misty again and have her use a Doug Trio against me, because that tracks for Misty. I'm the water gym leader type. Now lose to my Doug Trio scrub. That's right. This is Alakazam territory all day.
Here's the third trainer battle with only the gym leader left after this. What kind of battle can we expect to see? A psychic blast! Whoa! Looks like a bad Pokemon choice. That was quick! Down already! There's been major action already.
So I get all the level 50 content done out of the way. I can go ahead and swap out to I don't know, Ice Beam, I know he is.
The commands are issued. The Pokemon returns to its Pokeball. Oh, it's Venusaur!
Ice Beam or Blizzard, he's gonna know one of them. Oh, he was gonna Mega Kick me?
What's next? There, it's a hit. How will the swap Pokemon fight? Whoa! Kapow! Major death!
One hit KO, maybe? Yes.
Wow! Taken down with one hit! There's a distinct difference in the number of remaining Pokemon.
I think you can definitely teach it Toxic.
Horsey. The remaining Pokemon count is 3-1. The battle has become one-sided.
It is definitely a one-sided battle, he is not wrong.
Razor Leaf Flurry! Round 0.
Oh, in Stadium? I doubt it.
Gone!
Evolved Pokemon having good moves in Stadium? That's rare. As a rental, I mean. Alright, back at Misty. Hopefully we'll win this time. What would I want to use here? Yep, that's what I'm saying. She's got a Doug Trio. That's what did me in last time. Maybe a... Well, the Starmie tanked forever because I was using Alakazam, Executor, and Venusaur, which is probably what I'm going to roll out with again, honestly. But the Starmie knew Thunder Wave, and then it just kept trying to whittle me down as much as it could from that point on. And then I took out the Dugong. What was the Dugong that I had? And then Doug Trio came out. And since I was paralyzed on everything else, it just outsped me until everything died. Oh! I thought you were in the bed! You couldn't resist, huh? You couldn't resist saying if we could,
The battle against Misty, the Cerulean gym leader, and the Maiden of Water Pokemon.
I do have a Voltorb that I can start leveling up.
Has in store
For,
for her.
oh my god, here we go.
They go into battle poses. Here's the first move. It's not very effective.
Great, we're gonna be doing this for a while, aren't we?
It's more resistant to physical blows. The heated battle rages on.
No, I'm actually playing on an N64 emulator. I mean, N64. I'm playing on N64 hardware. I've got a Pixel FX N64 running actual Pokemon Stadium with an actual Pokemon Yellow plugged into it. So yeah, these are my these are the Pokemon I've raised in Pokemon Yellow.
The trainer hasn't issued an order. They strike fighting poses. What's this?
I would assume that the Switch version has a way better frame rate than what you're seeing here, and probably a lot sharper too.
What's that? Special stat is
I
down.
give you props because running this purely on rentals, especially round 2, is painful. We had a really rough time with the Prime Cup Master Ball
What'll it do?
for like a weekend or two.
Special stat is down.
Okay, this is kind of going in our favor right now.
Special stat is
If
down.
you needed any more proof that I am running it on original hardware, that 15 frames a second you're seeing there, chef's kiss, amazing.
What's this?
It'd be nice if the Switch version though actually allowed you to like use actual Pokemon. Hopefully the oh, he just decided to YOLO and explode.
Savage hit.
And he took me out with him.
Going down.
You just could not let me have that, Misty. You could not let me have that.
They're down. They're both down. What Pokemon
Definitely a
will be
wiener.
fighting next? Oh, it's Venusaur. Oh, it's Seadra. The Pokemon are entirely different types.
Seadra would be faster than me. I was expecting that.
What's that? Whoa! Looks like a bad Pokemon choice.
Jeez, 15 frames a second game, anytime now.
Whoa!
It slows down when I use Razor Leaf too.
No! This Pokemon looks wrong. What a furious battle!
Another Ice Beam.
Ice Beam!
And I'm frozen. Of course I am.
It's frozen.
1 in 10 chance to get frozen. She gets it on the second one. That's gonna be a point on the bingo card.
Savage attack. It's doubly effective. Oh! Is it down and out? There's only one Pokemon left in reserve.
Alakazam's got this, at least for the Seadra. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Alakazam.
I'm gonna assume it's gonna be the Starmie that comes out
It's one
after
Pokemon
this.
against two now. The 10th battle continues. A Psychic Blast. That's a good hit. Oh, it's down. We're down to one Pokemon aside.
Starmie? Starmie.
Oh, it's Starmie. There's just one Pokemon
And you already know what
aside
she's
now.
gonna do.
The
She's
battle is
gonna-
coming right down to the one.
Gonna go ahead and Thunder Wave, and that's what's gonna end this.
They go into battle poses.
Thunder Wave is what's gonna win this fight.
That was weak.
I almost feel like just quitting the fight, ending the stream. It's so aggravating.
Paralyzed. Neither one.
So, my Executor got killed by an explosion by a non-water type Pokemon. And then
What now?
2 turns of Ice Beam, my Venusaur gets frozen. Oh, and my special... First time she uses Psychic special drops.
What's this?
Oh, at least it granted me also one of those.
Sparks are flying.
Use Side Beam and go for the confusion. I want to, but because that's chance-based, I know that the game's never going to give it to me. I agree with you. And under normal circumstances, I would say that's definitely the move.
They're
But
staring each other down.
the fact that this game gives itself every edge and advantage, there's no way that, if it ever gets confused, 1.
The trainer hasn't issued
And
an
2, It cheats. Like, I don't know.
What's the matter, trainer?
Alright, I'll take your words for it.
Hydro Pump! A savage hit! What's that? What's the weak spot? The intense battle continues!
I'm gonna side beam again. Gonna hide, or do you want me to try and recover?
They're staring each other down.
Might want to recover. In case I don't think on the next turn anything's gonna
Trainer
die.
hasn't issued an order.
Hydro pump critical hit.
How's that? No!
Oh my god, I live by a sliver.
It's restoring HP!
Probably gonna try another recover.
Fireworks are flying in this battle.
I'm gonna have to recover again.
They're staring each other down.
Because he's just gonna keep using hydro pump until, or she's gonna keep using hydro pump until she runs out of it. Yeah, the paralysis is definitely on the way.
There it goes! Yeah, it's a hit!
Yep, you called it. There's the paralysis. GG. She won.
The heated battle rages on.
She's gonna hydro pump, and hydro pump's gonna. Oh, she's just gonna psychic. What I love is that I'm losing. The two instances that I've really honestly lost have been because she's using Pokemon that aren't water types. That's what it ultimately boiled down to. She used two Pokemon that were not water types on both of those teams, and they both messed me up. Right about our 3-hour mark anyway. I mean, it's just that the game cheats. Like, just honestly speaking, I've said it before and I'll say it. I'll say it till I beat this game. This game cheats. It gives itself every unfair advantage that it can give itself. If the paralysis is gonna happen, it's gonna happen. If the paralysis, in that case, right, that was what was gonna win the match. That's why the paralysis finally procced. It is what it is. Only, right? How many freezes did we get off every time I use an ice beam? Oh yeah, that's right, 0. And you weren't there for the beginning of it, but first turn Fire Blast missed in the Petit Cup, and Charmander got one-shotted. I'm not even kidding you. Charmander got one shot. I was like, oh well, we're restarting this whole thing now. It is pretty wild and wacky. Oh, but yeah, you can see for Arzakali, they're my my yellow and blue version, and official One Piece Slayer is helping me with a red version, so they can get that that Electabuzz. Hopefully wrap up the Pokedex by the time I'm done with the game. We're doing pretty well on our Pokedex too. Not saved at any Pokemon Center because I'm resetting for an Aerodactyl right now. Doing pretty good. We did technically we did 2 cups. We got the Pokeball challenge done for the Prime, not Prime, for the Poke Cup. We did Poke Cup, Pokeball. We did the Petit Cup, and we did Brock. So today wasn't a total waste, I presume. It was just wild and wacky. Bad luck towards the end there. So I will probably do another stream. I always say Tuesday that I'm going to try for Tuesday, but it just never happens. And I definitely don't think it's going to be happening this Tuesday because I got a lot of stuff going on at work for like the next few weeks. So Tuesday's definitely not happening. So it's probably going to be another Sunday stream when we pop back in and do this. And hopefully I'll have leveled up some of my Pokemon to be a little bit better. If I level up my Alakazam 5 more levels for the Poke Cup though, then that puts me at a disadvantage for the Gym Leader Castle. That would be the problem. Oof, that's gonna be rough. So either I complete Gym Leader Castle first and then come back to the Poke Cup, or I gotta figure out a thing to do with my Alakazam. I mean, I have spares. That's not necessarily an issue. Anyway, so today wasn't a total loss. We didn't rage as much this time. We definitely did rage, just not as much. Alright, so it's looking like another Sunday stream. I will keep resetting and trying to get good Pokemon in yellow and blue version to try and come up with the teams necessary to potentially beat out all of this nonsense. I want to give a shout out to the 2 most active people in the chat today, Official One Piece Slayer and Arzakali. And very briefly, was it, oh, I don't have him here anymore, unfortunately. I think it was Peach. Peach was in here earlier. So yeah, it was I'm gonna chalk it up to it was a productive night today. And the equipment didn't essentially decide to screw up and drop signal, so hopefully that'll be the case going forward. So Arzakali, if you want to go ahead and give this a follow so that you'll know when I'm streaming again on Sunday, and hopefully lead the charge to victory and be able to beat Pokemon Stadium. This is the furthest I've ever made it in Stadium. Of course, I was also like a dumb like 6th grader when Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow came out. I didn't know anything I was doing. I had a Pikachu with like Thunder Shock, Thunderbolt, Thunder, and Thunder Wave, just because that's all I ever saw Ash's Pikachu do on the TV show. But now I'm a little bit smarter and a little bit better at doing strategy stuff. So, alrighty, I think it's gonna be a good place to stop for tonight. Plugging time, right? So if you want to know when I'm gonna stream, guys, go ahead and give me a follow over at twitter.com/LeeMustang, or you'll get little updates on when I'm gonna be streaming again. And of course, give me a follow over at instagram.com/Lee.Mustang if you want to see what I'm adding to my game collection over time. And if you want to see the rest of this playthrough, if you want to see the previous 18 sessions or any other Let's Play or long play I've done, go ahead and give me a follow over at youtube.com/LeeMustang. And if you happen to be watching this as a VOD over at youtube.com/LeeMustang, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Subscribe to my channel to help it grow. Click the little bell icon to be in the know. And I will see you guys in session 20, when we'll hopefully continue to advance beyond this. Until then, guys, take care.